Our superheroes are all among us. They don't wear capes nor have superpowers. In fact, they appear to be quite ordinary. They are the ones who provide us with food. They are our farmers, our grocery store workers, our vendors. They are our fishermen. They are the ones who heal us, our doctors and medical practitioners. They are the ones who protect us, our police officers. They are all the other essential workers who make this period bearable. And how can we forget our teachers, dedicated to educating our children no matter the circumstance? To everyone who is doing their part to make sure the wheel keeps turning, Ariza says, thank you.
When I need shelter, warmth, security, I know you'll be there. Something in these moments lets me know you care. Maybe the way you shield me, maybe it's your smiles and the way you tell me it's okay to try. Now I'm invincible. I can pack my sack. I can take the long road, 'cause it's okay to look back if I am scared. I know you're there. Ariza, together there's no limit to what we can do. Ariza, with no wings, fly. Ariza, and we're so high, enjoy the view. Look, no wings, fly.
This is Ariza, your financial freedom, your future.
Hello and welcome to your physical wellness presented by Ariza Credit Union. In addition to having a healthy mind, a healthy body is fundamental, very important and essential. Today we will be exploring a wealth of topics with regards to that: eating healthy, diet, exercise, and just holistic wellness, overall wellness. So thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your feedback from our 2 previous sessions that we've had on your mental wellness with Josh Hector, part 1 and 2. So if this is the first installment that you're seeing, feel free to check it out. It's an entire holistic wellness series presented by Ariza Credit Union. Still to come, we have your financial wellness, and that discussion will be with Miss Kemelin Regis and also Mrs. Luann Phillips Henry. So feel free to look out for that. That's the next installment that's coming up. Today, we have with us 2 guests that have decided to give of their time, knowledge, and expertise to assist us in understanding more about physical wellness, about health, and overall taking care of yourself, taking care of your body, which is very important. So our first guest is Dr. Kecia-Brooks-Smith-Lowe. She is certified both by the American Board of Pediatrics as well as internal medicine. She also holds a master's degree in public health and preventative medicine. She completed a combined 4-year internal medicine and pediatrics residency at St. Joseph's Hospital and Medical Center in Paterson, New Jersey, where she also served as the chief resident in her final year. Currently, Dr. Lowe is a clinical tutor at the St. George's University School of Medicine. She has also served as a consultant in internal medicine at the General Hospital right here in Grenada. And lastly, she is a certified Purna Yoga instructor and co-founder of Spice Harmony Yoga at the Brooks-Smith-Lowe Institute. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Our next guest is Mrs. Stephanie Simpson Lewis. Mrs. Lewis holds a Bachelor of Science in Home Economics and Dietetics and a Master's of Science in Community Nutrition. She has served with the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council. She's now retired, and she's currently the founder of the Sean Farm, SEANFARM, Sean Farm, a business producing all natural lettuce and other vegetables. Today, she is with us to share some of her knowledge on holistic wellness, nutrition, and all of the above. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure and an honor to be in your presence. And by the end of this, I should be completely holistically changed and well.
Yes.
Much like all of our viewers. Again, this is a dialogue, so we encourage you to send your questions in through WhatsApp because we will take your live questions, and it is anonymous, so you can feel free and comfortable to send your questions to us, and we will discuss it right here as we go through our wealth of topics. So we're about to jump right into it, and it's your physical wellness. So I think it's very important to get both of your take on physical wellness, holistic physical wellness. So we'll start with you, Dr. Lowe. What's your take on physical wellness?
Well, I think it's really a priority because obviously your body is your temple and you can't trade it in for the latest model. This is it. So you really have to really take care of your body, all aspects of it. Keep it healthy so that you can have a good quality of life. You know, if you don't look at certain parameters and really monitor what's going on with your body, just let it go, then you know you're planting the seeds for a not so healthy later life. And so I think it's really important that we focus on the physical, not just the external beauty of it, but also, you know, the different parameters that can help to define whether or not you're healthy.
Yeah, and definitely internal, what you cannot see. Yeah,
And a lot of that's reflected on the outside as well.
exactly. All right,
Yeah.
Mrs. Lewis, what's your take on physical wellness?
Physical wellness, it's being healthy. It's being well, your muscles, all of your internal organs, and that comes about by the way you treat your body. And one of the things it's that starts, how you treat your body starts from conception, in the sense that how a mother eats determines the health of a child, and after that child is born, being breastfed and then being fed healthy, and then you get to the age where you can make decisions, continue healthy eating, and that in turn end up having you have a good physical well-being, because your structure would be well nourished. But it's not only in terms of eating, but in terms of the physicality of it, you know, strengthening the your musculoskeletal structure, plus your muscles, you know, that all of that is part of it.
Yes, so much information. Let us jump in now to discussing the importance of knowing your numbers, because I know a lot of times people will hear it's important to know your numbers, and you would think that it's cliche, but it's not. It's lamented for a reason, because it's very essential that we are familiar with key crucial numbers about ourselves, be in the know about our own selves, and these numbers that help to, you know, absolve a lot of issues that we would have, as well as boosting our quality of life. So let's discuss a little bit about these essential numbers that everyone should know.
So let's just start off by saying you don't have to memorize them. You can write them down in a safe place and have them handy. And so some of the numbers are like basic, like your blood pressure, you know, and we really aim for 120 as the top number, the systolic number, over 80 and less. So if you're less 120 over 80 and less, that's a good thing. For those people who have consistently higher numbers, they have to do certain things in terms of diet, cutting salt and things like that. They may even get to the point where they have to have medication So knowing that your average kind of blood pressure is important. And if you do have one reading out of the blue that is high, depending on how high it is, it may not be so significant. But if your physician finds you have at least 3 very high readings, that can be concerning, and then they may elect to do some testing and also may have to put you on some kind of drugs or medications to lower the blood pressure.
Right. So we need to maintain that the blood pressure is 120 over 80
Or
or
less,
lower.
yeah. But you need to know
or
your
less.
numbers. If you have a 30 over 80 or 85, that is your normal. You need to just keep track of that, because then if it goes too high or too low, at least you say, oh, well, usually my pressure is this.
Right.
So it's just something that when you go to your doctor or your nurse practitioner, wherever you go, you should at least write it down. So I'm not saying you have to memorize it. Knowing your numbers doesn't mean you have to memorize it, but you need to know where to find it. Have it documented.
Right.
Okay.
So the blood pressure is one number that's very essential. What's another number?
Your waist, the size of your waist in
I mean,
inches.
that's one that you don't hear a lot, People would say it's important to know your weight, and not necessarily
Your weight is one too, we didn't
waist.
get there, but
Yeah.
your waist is also important. And we aim for less than 35 inches.
Less than 35
Less than
inches.
35
Pull out the
inches.
tape measures.
I just pull out my tape measure when patients come in and they come with the belly in front of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to just measure because they just don't realize the importance of that. So
Yeah.
not only the waist, but also the abdominal girth, because that means that if your abdomen is very big, your waist is big, your abdomen is big, you have a lot of fat in that
Yeah.
area, and that fat can become part of your organs. When the body has nowhere else to store the fat, it eventually will store it in your organs, which is
Right.
your liver, and that is the earliest sign. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is actually the earliest sign of prediabetes.
Oh, wow.
So if you can catch a patient at that time and you can really counsel them and Miss Stephanie Simpson can counsel them on how to really change their diet and be more active and lose that weight, that abdominal fat, you can actually prevent diabetes.
Right.
Okay?
And cholesterol.
So cholesterol, so your
numbers.
lipid profile is important to know, to have written down. I don't want people to think, oh my goodness, I have to memorize these numbers. Just write them down and have them accessible. Everybody has their smartphone. They use it for so many
Right.
things. There's
Addicts.
apps in there where you can have your Keep Note app or whatever it is and
Yes.
write it down.
Yes.
Put it in there. So cholesterol is another thing. You want to aim for less than 200 for your total cholesterol. But there are different parts of cholesterol. So the total is not helpful to me as a physician. I like to do the profile.
Right.
Because the total cholesterol should be less than 200, but there's so many factors that make up the cholesterol, because your HDL, your high density lipoprotein, is a protective cholesterol that should be above 50.
Right.
But there are actually some patients where it's higher than that, and then everything else is normal. So then when now the doctor just sees the total and doesn't realize that it's the good cholesterol making it 200 or 210, then they give the patient wrong information. Oh, you need to cut out more saturated fats, when actually that patient has actually a good profile, because it's HDL, the high cholesterol, high density cholesterol is high, and that's protective of the heart.
Right.
But then you have your triglycerides, which should be less than 150. The triglycerides really come from sugar. So when the body has excess sugar in the body, it stores it as triglycerides. So whenever I see a patient having high triglycerides, I know this person eats a lot of sweets,
Right.
sugar. Then you have your LDL cholesterol. It should be 130 or less. But if you're a patient with hypertension or diabetes, then it should be less than 100. You can find this on the internet. I don't want people to think that, oh my God, I have to memorize these numbers. Your doctor should know these numbers. But you should have yours written so you can see. But we will segue into a different topic about having consistency in your healthcare.
Definitely.
So then you won't have to worry, because when you go and you have your records, it'll be there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about blood pressure, we talked about abdominal
weight,
girth and waist measurement. Weight is another thing. So what we usually use for weight is something called body mass index, which is a ratio between your weight and your height.
Right.
And it should be anywhere between 18.9 to 19.
Right.
Weight is
18.5
something
to
like
24,
that. Up to 24.9 for the
and that would
BMI.
be normal. And then above 24 to 29, it's like overweight. And then
Yes.
once you get to 30, then it's
obese.
obese. And then
Right.
after up to 40
is morbidly obese.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so dependent on your height
And weight.
Yes,
They do the
they
ratio,
go.
and they have BMI calculators. If you Google, put in BMI
Yeah.
calculator, you can put in your height, put in your age, put in your weight, and it will calculate it for you. So if it's more than 24.9, then you're overweight. If it's more than 29.9,
Yes, then
you're
it's obese.
Yeah. Okay, definitely. Well, again, it's so fundamental. There are all of these numbers, but again, it's not something to be daunted by. It's not
Yes,
something to be apprehensive about.
no.
It's just a matter of knowing yourself. Just like you know the shade of makeup that you will wear, it's important to know these numbers,
Yeah.
especially with regards to your body.
One of the things about knowing your numbers, so that if you go to your physician and you
Yeah.
get a yearly checkup and you get all of these numbers and you file it, so that next year you go for your checkup again and you have from last year, so you compare to see, is it better than last year?
Right.
Is it the same, or is it going up? And then it helps you in terms of making a decision, but I need to maybe exercise more, or I need to eat less meat, or whatever the the discussion you have with your physician, you make these decisions, so that these numbers, they're what they call guidelines, just to help you to know where you are.
Yes.
Because so much of our people, they don't keep these things, and numbers in not, you don't have to keep it in your head, but as Dr. Lowe said, but you have it noted
Handy.
somewhere.
Have it handy.
Yeah, and sometimes persons say, or it's normal, or your blood pressure is normal, or your sugar is normal.
But we
What
need
is
to know
normal?
What is normal?
You know,
What is that number?
What is normal? Last year it was normal. This year it's normal. But what is normal?
Yes.
And that's
It
where
could go
that's
up,
where
it could go down, we need
numbers
to
are
know.
important.
Yeah, because I'm thinking to myself, if it's normal twice, in the 2 years, but the numbers themselves are different, it could be higher, but still normal.
Right.
So
And
that
then you would
indicates
say,
a trend.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Very good. Exactly my point. Right.
Yeah. So it's very essential to know all
To
of
know all
all
the
of
numbers.
these numbers.
The
Yeah.
other one is fasting blood sugar. You want it to be less than 100. Your fasting blood sugar should be less than 100. If
Let's
you have
talk a
risk
little
of
bit about
diabetes,
fasting blood sugar,
Yes.
specifically for people who may not know
so
what
60
fasting.
to 100 is considered normal.
Right.
So you want to be less than 100.
Okay.
You have to not eat too much sweets the night before. You need to at least, to get a good reading.
Right.
But I don't really particularly personally like FBS, fasting blood sugar, because I have certain patients who have diabetes, and they know when they come in to see me, they start to behave good for a few days before and things.
So they'll have a good reading.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that doesn't help anybody, because if they
Yeah.
go back to their regular habits after that. So I like to catch them with something called an HbA1c, which is like glycosylated hemoglobin. We all have a percentage of sugar on our red blood cells. But once it's less than 5.7%, we're normal. 5.8 to 6.4 is considered pre-diabetes, and over 6.4, from 6.5% and above, that's considered diabetes.
Okay.
So I love that test, because it gives you
Yeah.
a 3-month average of what they've been doing.
Yeah, so
not
you
just
can't
for the few
hide.
days.
You can't hide.
And you don't have to be fasting for that test.
Oh, right.
So it's really a helpful test, and that should be less than 5.7
Yeah, to give you an overall picture.
of your risk of
Yeah.
diabetes, as well as if you have it or not.
All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic. A lot of numbers, but again, know them. They're very
Yeah.
important, and you don't need to memorize them.
No.
Just have them handy. They will help you in life, because you don't want to be walking around, with high cholesterol and you don't know. That shouldn't be a question mark. So these things are very important. Let's talk about the importance of seeing a physician, or having a regular physician, and seeing your physician regularly.
Well, I think even Ms. Simpson
Yeah.
actually brought it up. One other number, I think personally, this is my own take, for men, I think men over 40 should at least know what their PSA is, or have it handy.
And
because
PSA
PSA should be less than, it should be from 0.4 to 4 in most labs, nanogram per milliliter. But the fact is that it's not only the number, but it's the rate of rise.
And what does PSA mean?
Prostate specific antigen. So it's one of the enzymes that's released by your prostate. And it can be high in even something called benign prostatic hypertrophy, where sometimes from age 40, your prostate can become larger gradually.
Right.
So it can have you can have an elevated PSA, but cancer can also elevate.
Is there a
it.
recommended age that all males
40
should
for
start
finger.
checking? Right.
Yeah, age 40.
Yeah.
40.
Yeah.
So once you're at age 40
You should
or
at
above,
least have a checkup.
yeah.
But
have
you
a
know how
checkup.
that goes with most men. It's a
Yeah,
trip.
but you see, it's fine to be uncomfortable. That's my take. It's fine to be uncomfortable for a little while, and you know it's like a weight off of your shoulders.
It's less than a minute. I recently had a patient, and he's like, "Are you finished? Is that it?" His wife came in with him. His wife brought him to see me for a checkup because I guess he needed encouragement. And so, of course, she was there, and that was the last thing I did. And he's like, "Wait, you finished already?" He said, "I've been hearing about this test all this time, and that's it." I said, "Yes."
Yeah.
You
So
know,
sometimes it's easier than you think. It's just a matter of taking that first step.
Right.
And again, wives, carry your husband.
That's it. You don't want to be left alone. Shoot.
Yeah,
the average lifespan of a male is at least 5 or 6 years less than women, you know, in general. And I personally think it has to do with the doctors. They're just afraid, doctor. They're afraid checkup.
Right.
A lot of women will come for their checkup and come, whether they're sick or not. The men come. I don't even want to say it on TV, but anyhow, there's only a few reasons why men come.
Yeah.
First, I'm sure y'all could guess the first reason,
Right.
maybe the second reason, and the third reason may be fever, pain, and you know, nagging spouse. But the first two reasons they come running.
Yeah, but it's very important to see your physician outside.
So
of
I
those
think a male
reasons.
should at least have a PSA baseline, because then we can see so even if it's normal this year, suppose it's 0.4, which is normal, but then the next year it's 3.
Right.
That's technically still normal. However, to go from 0.4 to 3 in 12 months is alarming,
Right.
because the rate of rise is very, very high. What's going on?
And so that's an indication there that
We
something
need to
more
do
needs
further
Yeah.
investigation, whether it's just an ultrasound or send him to get further, testing.
Well, so that's one reason why it's very important to have, a regular physician.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I can look back and see, well, yes, we did it 2 years ago and it was this. Now it's this. So it was 0.4 and now 0.6. That's good. So, but having a regular physician is like having a team member, somebody that you can work together with to take care of yourself. That's what I think of as a physician, as being somebody's doctor, is that we work together. You have a concern, you come, we discuss, or you don't have a concern, you come in for a checkup, you want advice, I assist you.
Right.
And I tell patients, I said, when you come to see me, I work for you. You employ me, you're paying me for a service. So when you come, don't be afraid to ask me questions. We can discuss things. If you have a plan or if you have something you want to, if you think you need certain things, we can have a conversation and discuss this. Don't be afraid. And doctor, but you said I have this, or you recommend this, I do this. Why? I will not be offended, because it's your body and I'm here to help you. You've come to me for a service.
And also I'm thinking it's important for you yourself as the patient to understand why, certain things are needed, certain things are necessary, even medication, different things that would be prescribed. It's very important to know that for yourself.
And you can call back the doctor and say, okay, doc, you gave me this, but this is happening, or come back with the medications. I'm always asking patients, please, when you come with the medications, because sometimes I'll write a prescription or write something in my chart, and they come and the label on it is not what I wrote in my. So there's sometimes little discrepancies, not all the time, but I'm just saying. And so if now you're telling me that this pill is making you feel so and so, you want to change it or whatever, don't come and tell me the purple pill with the pink stripes. I won't know, because depending on who make that drug in terms of the brand, I won't know. Right. So you have to walk with the medications. And so, sometimes they'll come and they'll say, oh, they took this pill and this ointment, but it's so much better when you walk with your medications and things like that.
Another thing that I've noted, because I had a friend and she said to me, she went to the doctor, she spoke, there was a regular checkup and stuff like that. She had another complaint that she wanted to speak to the doctor about, but she's like, it's not alarming, it's nothing too serious. I won't say anything. And sometimes people will have things on their mind, go to the doctor and not, because they're afraid to say. And I really want us to help make it comfortable so people could just debunk that and think of the doctor, as you said, as a friend, as a partner in your journey to healthiness.
Because your health is really not only the half an hour we spend together, it's what you do every day, what you put in your mouth, what you all
The other thing is too, sometimes you have, before you go to the doctor, you have these questions in your head that you want to ask, and then you get to the doctor and you forget everything. So what I do personally, I write them down, and when I go to the doctor, I have my questions to ask about the certain things, and that way I get my answers and I'm comfortable, because sometimes you leave the doctor's office and you say, gosh, I was supposed to ask him about such and such, about the pain there or something else. And that makes a difference when you can write your questions down.
And it helps the doctor too, because then I get all the questions up front, and then I can fit it into the visit. It's frustrating too for a physician when you may come with one thing and you don't say that you have other things, and we deal with this one thing, and I'm ready to end the visit, and then all of a sudden you want to, that is really stressful sometimes. So on my website, I have a link, make the most of your doctor's visit, and one of them is to make your list and tell me up front so we can fit it all in, you know what I mean? But the other thing, my dear, sometimes patients have 6 things. They wait till they have 6 things to come, and that too is a little bit stressful because they'll have, they'll have an acute thing, but then they'll have the 5 other things that they had there waiting.
Right.
And that's a little bit...
Because sometimes probably those other 5 things could have been indicators on the journey to that acute thing.
It could. Sometimes it's totally different.
So,
after 3 or 4 things, you could make a little doctor visit if you have 4 things. Come on, make a visit now. But you wait till the acute thing, when things bad, watermelon and flower, then you come in and you want to do the main serious thing now and still deal with the 5 things. It could be a little bit...
So what would be your recommendation for the length of time that everyone should at least see their physician once a year, every 6 months?
I mean, it's so difficult to say, because if you have chronic illness, you may have to see a doctor more regularly, especially till we get things stable.
Thinks that they're healthy.
I mean, at least go once when you're whatever age, 22, something like that, depending on, and then after that, you can ask your that doctor, if you choose to remain with that doctor, when would you like to see me again? And depending on that patient, I may tell them a year, I may tell them a year and a half. If we do all those parameters, the cholesterol, the HbA1c, the complete blood count. For women, sometimes I like to do a hemoglobin. I like them to know a hemoglobin, which is because when you're having your period, you lose blood every month. Your hemoglobin can drop. So for a woman, I have a little caveat. So for women, one of the numbers I would like them to know is to have an idea of the hemoglobin level or have it written. And for men over 40, the PSA, I think is important.
Right.
And so if I do those tests on someone and everything is normal, I would say, okay, well, I think that you probably don't need to come for another year and a half, depending. Unless, of course, you're acutely sick. Of course, you can call and make an appointment or walk in the morning. But in general, it's hard to tell you up front, because sometimes you may think you're healthy and you come and you may have issues that may need to be monitored.
So start today.
Because remember, blood pressure can be a silent killer, huh?
It's true.
Blood pressure, you can have it and you may not even have a clue till you get to the doctor and you get the measurement.
Wow.
So you may think you're healthy, but it might be better to let a healthcare professional give you a one-over and then...
Right. So if you haven't seen a physician in more than a year, and even if you think you're healthy, Monday, make an appointment. Monday, make an appointment, because you don't want to be guessing. Mrs. Lewis, what would be some of your recommendations to make the most of a doctor's visit and seeing a physician regularly?
Well, I can tell you just from my reading, and as a nutritionist, you should see a physician at least once a year, based on your numbers. And then based on your numbers, your physician may say, well, I need to see you in 6 months to follow up if something, say for instance, the cholesterol may be high, and she makes recommendation or refers you to a nutritionist or dietitian, and you do that and come back in say 6 months or 3 months, whatever that she suggests, and you follow up. And it's so important to follow up on your visits, but once a year. And if you have other conditions that may require more frequent visit, but it is so important to go to a physician, and also to stick with one physician. Now, granted that you're not going to go to a general practitioner if you're pregnant, okay? You try to get a physician that will meet your need. So if it's just general care, you go to maybe a physician. You wouldn't take your baby to a general practitioner. You want to take your baby to a pediatrician. So this is one way I would like to look at persons. You have something wrong with your foot, you go to a podiatrist. You because they're specific physicians. So in terms of making your yearly visit to your physician, go to your gynecologist as a woman, and a men, you get your PSA check, but it's specific, it's not just one person that covers the entire body. You have physicians who are specific for specific part of your body. Your brain not functioning, you're not going to go to a general practitioner. You know? So these are the things that I want to encourage persons. You have to get a pap smear. You know, you don't go to a general practitioner. You want to go to, I'm not saying that they don't do it, but you know, you go to someone for a specific condition or specific number you may want to know, and in particularly the pap smear, you know, going to a woman. That is something that you should have, as women should have at least.
Yes.
Well, there are different recommendations and protocols as to when you do it.
Sexually active for at least 3 years, and they should have at least one baseline pap smear.
Yeah.
Right.
But if they're over the age of 21 and they've, you know, haven't had, if they're younger than 21 and have been sexually active for at least 3 years, they should at least have a pap smear.
Right.
And then over that, you can have a pap smear. If you're not sexually active ever, then you don't need to have a pap smear.
Okay.
But once you become sexually active and it's been at least 3 years, you should have a pap smear done.
All right. So many appointments to be made. Definitely, because it's very important for all of these things to be considered, and even having this conversation about holistic wellness, because we spoke about mental wellness a few weeks ago, and then now with the physical wellness, there are definitely so many, you know, areas that you need to look at. And again, it's maybe you consider yourself as healthy, or you don't think that you have a need to, because you're functioning daily, probably not paying attention to the signs that your body, you know, is showing you. But it's still important to have an idea, to know, and not just walk around with a question mark. So again, we want to encourage you to make sure that you send in your questions if you have questions. Again, the WhatsApp number is 414-2285. So you can WhatsApp us on 414-2285, any of the topics that we are discussing here. If you have anything to add, if you have any questions to clarify, if you would have gone to a doctor and you want just a question, you have a question and you want to ask Dr. Lowe, you can feel free to do so. Again, so WhatsApp us on 414-2285. We are getting ready to take a short pause because we are broadcasting not just on Facebook, but we're also broadcasting through GBN, our partners at GBN Television, and it's about time for the lotto draw. So we're going to take a short pause for the lotto draw, and then we'll be right back to discuss more on your physical wellness with Dr. Lowe and Mrs. Lewis. See you at the end of the lotto draw.
Our superheroes are all among us. They don't wear capes nor have superpowers. In fact, they appear to be quite ordinary. They are the ones who provide us with food. They are our farmers, our grocery store workers, our vendors. They are our fishermen. They are the ones who heal us, our doctors and medical practitioners. They are the ones who protect us, our police officers. They are all the other essential workers who make this period bearable. And how can we forget our teachers, dedicated to educating our children no matter the circumstance? To everyone who is doing their part to make sure the wheel keeps turning, Ariza says, thank you.
When I need shelter, warmth, security, I know you would be there. Something in these moments lets me know you care. Maybe the way you shield me, maybe it's your smiles and the way you tell me it's okay to try. Now I'm invincible, I can pack my sack, I can take the long road, 'cause it's okay to look back if I am scared. I know you're there. Ariza, together there's no limit to what we can do. Ariza, with no wings, fly. Ariza, and we're so high, enjoy the view. Look, no wings,
This is Ariza, your financial freedom, your future. Taking the first step is one of the hardest things to do, but sometimes that's where progress begins. And that's when I can becomes the best words you can utter. I will keeps you focused on what really matters. I must pushes you to where you want to be. And I am the words when the dreams become a reality. That's the power of I. That's why it's at the center of Ariza. Because I means independent. I means individual. And at Ariza, that's what we want you to be. Independent, individual, and financially free. This is Ariza Credit Union. Your financial freedom, your future. Our superheroes are all among us. They don't wear capes nor have superpowers. In fact, they appear to be quite ordinary. They are the ones who provide us with food. They are our farmers, our grocery store workers, our vendors. They are our fishermen. They are the ones who heal us, our doctors and medical practitioners. They are the ones who protect us, our police officers. They are all the other essential workers who make this period bearable. And how can we forget our teachers, dedicated to educating our children no matter the circumstance? To everyone who is doing their part to make sure the wheel keeps turning, Ariza says, thank you.
When I need shelter, warmth, security, I know you'll be there. Something in these moments lets me know you care. Maybe the way you shield me, maybe it's your smiles and the way you tell me it's okay to try. Now I'm invincible. I can pack my sack. I can take the long road, 'cause it's okay to look back if I am scared. I know you're there. Ariza, together there's no limit to what we can do. Ariza, with no wings, fly. Ariza, and we're so high, enjoy the view. Look, no wings, fly.
This is Ariza, your financial freedom, your future.
Hello and welcome back to Your Physical Wellness presented by Ariza Credit Union. To those of you just joining us, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am here in the presence discussing your physical wellness with Dr. Lowe and also Mrs. Lewis. Before the break, we were discussing the importance of knowing your numbers. Again, you don't have to keep them in your mind. You don't have to cram them. It's not an exam, but you do need to know what the numbers are because they do assist in your overall wellness, being healthy and living living a healthy life. And then also we were discussing the importance of having a regular physician. Do not be afraid of your doctor. Make the most of your doctor visit, and don't wait until something acute happens. See your doctor. Have a relationship.
Yeah.
Your doctor is your coach in living healthily. Right? So now we come back to discussing a little bit about beneficial lifestyle choices. Because of course you need to have a regular physician. Of course, you need to ensure that you know your numbers and all of that. But when you go back home, the things that you do in order to maintain and ensure that your numbers stay in the safe zone and don't, I guess, progress in the, in the upward or go down. So let's talk a little bit about beneficial lifestyle choices that you would recommend.
Okay, so there are lots of beneficial lifestyle choices. Healthy eating is one of them. Physical activity, moderate alcohol consumption, not smoking, you know. Those are a few of them. Also too, getting a good night's rest is part of that.
Sleep.
And all of that affect the numbers that Dr. Lowe spoke about. But the one that affects, makes a more positive impact is healthy eating. And persons think that I cannot eat healthy, but eating healthy is not difficult. It is one of the easiest things that you can do because you eat food every day, but it's the choices that you make. And if you know what the healthy choices are, you can make it. And there's a myth there that says that, eating healthy is expensive. But it's not. It's actually more expensive to not eat healthy. So when you're eating healthy, you want to eat a variety of foods. You look at this beautiful centerpiece here, and it gives you a variety in terms of color and the types of food. So the variety is important. In Grenada, we use what you call the 6 food groups, and most persons are aware of it, but may not eat all of what it is. And by eating from the 6 food groups, you get a variety.
Remind us of the 6 food groups, really
So
quickly.
you have food from animals, you have fats and oils, you have fruits, vegetables, staples, and beans and peas and beans, or legumes. And those are the groups. And if you eat from each one of those groups, you'll be fine. But there's some groups you can eat more of, and you should eat more of, and there's some that you should eat less of. And the one that you should eat, the two most one that you should eat less of would be food from animals and the fats and oil. Now, when it comes to the fruits and the vegetables, yes. Legumes, you want to do more legumes and whole grain foods. And the staples, you want to eat some, a lot of your staples, the local, natural, whole. When I say whole, I mean it's not processed. So you'd want to choose a whole wheat flour over white, and you'd want to use our sweet potato instead of the imported potato.
So as close as it looks to when it's harvested.
Exactly.
That's whole.
Exactly.
Right? So
that's whole. As close as it is you can get. So you want to eat in that way. And by eating healthy and eating a variety of foods, and it helps you in terms of your overall health and well-being. It keeps your numbers in check. It keeps your waistline down. It keeps your blood pressure down. It keeps your blood sugar down. And it works on everything. So you want to eat healthy and eat a variety of foods. And I'm going to stress that, a variety. It's not just meat and staple. And fats and oil.
Because I feel like culturally, there are some go-to foods that we have in Grenada that we would cook because it's top of mind, or we would reach for, not necessarily thinking of like a healthier way to prepare it, or a more conscious way to prepare it, especially specific to whatever complaint you may have, or whatever lifestyle change that you decide to make, especially if you recognize that you've been eating more or less. You would still cook the food and eat less of it, as opposed to making something alternative that will, fill you and be nutritious and nourishing for your body. So I feel like culturally we have to get away from some foods.
And it's interesting that you say that, because one of the guidelines is to make our local foods, dishes, healthier. But going back, and we'll get to that a little later, but going back to in terms of eating healthy and a variety of foods, yes, you can do healthy and you can eat the variety, but it's how you prepare it. It's one, and the amount you eat.
Oh yes, well
Yeah,
that's a whole
that is so important. So that keeping those numbers in
Portion
check
sizes.
has to do with your portions or your servings.
Right.
Because a portion is the amount that you choose to eat, but a serving is a specific amount. So it's how much you choose to eat of that specific amount that you should.
Right.
So it's combination of eating healthy is part of how you prepare your meals. And when we talk about prepare your meals, it's whether you fry it, you grill it, you bake it, you know.
So let's talk a little bit in terms of recommendations for how, you should prepare as opposed to, okay, so every day, if you're going to cook every day, it's healthier to prepare foods, let's say grill as opposed to fry, things like what would you recommend for like the everyday practitioner?
Well, everyday practice, I mean, it is always an alternative to. So for instance, instead of fry, you can grill. You may use a small, or you can roast in the oven.
Right.
Right? Those are reduced amount of fat, and plus by roasting and grilling, you remove the excess fat that's in the food.
I like to roast vegetables. I find that,
very flavorful.
it's very
and the crunch is still
flavorful.
enough soggy.
Exactly. I absolutely love that. So I feel like that is a good thing that it helps to
And it
give
doesn't take
the
long.
vegetables personality, and it
Oh, yeah.
doesn't take long. You can throw it in, do other things, and then come back to it.
For instance, instead of boiling the provision,
Right.
you can steam it. With your vegetable steamer, you can steam the green bananas and sweet potato and dasheen and all of those good stuff.
Yes.
Instead of, because they have natural sodium, they have the sodium from the soil in it, so you don't necessarily need to add salt in it for it to taste good. Because if you boil it, you take out some of the water soluble nutrients, sodium,
I feel like
potassium.
sometimes salt is like a cultural practice too.
It
So
is.
you have to put salt, otherwise it won't taste
It
good.
is, yeah.
So you just think, okay, let me put some salt in it, not thinking of or not regarding the actual taste of it and whether it's necessary. Yeah.
And most of the times,
Salt,
what was
1 teaspoon is so
one
much.
person know that they people grew up knowing that you boil the provision, rather than steam, and by steaming you retain the nutrients in it. So it's taking the same, just changing the way we've been doing things.
Right.
Normally.
And that can make it exciting and different
It
too.
is. And one of the things too is that we have access to the internet, and you can look at how other culture prepare things and
Yes.
apply it to how we do things,
And salt is a big one. I mean, I've had patients just get their blood pressure under control without medication just by cutting the salt, because you're only supposed to have about 1,500 to up to 2,000 milligrams, and 1 teaspoon of salt is 2,300 milligrams. 1 teaspoon. And our biggest source of salt is the processed food.
It's the processed food, yeah, so true.
Right.
And that is something that's in our culture as part of our traditional thing to eat sausage, the canned sausage and the corned beef, and the other salted foods that you find, the stuff that comes in a bucket. The bucket stuff.
Yeah. You made it sound very unappetizing.
Even the red and white bucket.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, the bucket stuff. But the thing is, for instance, granted that it's high in sodium and you want to transition from it, you soak it, you boil it, you throw it, and you use a small amount, and then gradually you can move
Wean
off of it,
yourself
wean
off
yourself
of it.
off of it.
Yeah.
But eating healthy is looking at how you do things now and making a choice not to do it that way. By making that choice, which is doable, you affect your numbers in a positive way.
Right.
Right. I mentioned about preparation and the portion, and those are crucial in terms of healthy eating.
So in terms of the recommended portions, for the specific food groups, because I know that there are some that, you would both recommend that people stay away from as much as possible, and then others that you can have an abundance.
Oh, definitely.
So let's talk about, so if I have a plate, how should the portion of, let's say, meat to vegetables, how should it look visually?
Visually,
That's a controversial question for me.
visually,
But at least has to be colorful and fresh.
it should be colorful, but you want to say make half of your plate vegetables.
Right.
And the
Okay.
vegetables could be a salad and a cooked vegetable, or it could be cooked well, all of a salad with different things in that salad.
Yes.
You know, and then the other
And
half,
fruits,
then you
because
put a
tomatoes are
small
fruit
part.
and-
A small part would be your meat. And
Or
then you
your
have
other
your another
protein-
small part,
alternative protein
your staple. You know, and the thing is, we talk about meat, but it doesn't have to be meat.
It doesn't have to be
You know,
fresh. Yeah.
a vegetarian way of eating is an excellent way to lose weight and to get your numbers in check if they're not. And
Yes.
even if they are and you find they're going on an increase, to get them back.
You know, interestingly enough, I started eating a lot more vegetables, and I found that I kind of reset my taste palette because it was an interesting experiment that I did with myself, and especially like over the lockdown, you know, time for COVID, because we're living in these times. Like a lot of the food home, like we started preparing like a lot, you know, local, you know, because I'm just not out on the rush. I'm not busy. I don't have to
Yeah.
grab for convenient foods. So I found myself eating a lot more, you know, naturally made things that my uncle would grow in his garden, you know, up the road,
yes.
and he would send down and different things like that. And then I just found that when, you know, I was out again working busy, I would reach for certain things that I would eat normally, and I'd be like, this does not taste. Why doesn't this taste
That's
good? Like
good.
something wrong with this, and then I realized
It's your
something was
taste bud.
wrong with it all the time.
Yes,
you know.
Yep. And that's the thing. I'm so happy to hear you say that,
Yes.
because people think that you cannot change your taste buds, but your taste buds could be adjusted. It could be adjusted to sugar. It could be adjusted to salt. It could be adjusted to those flavor enhancers.
Right.
You know, and it can be.
Right. So when people say like I have a sweet tooth or I'm addicted to sweet things, it's a matter of making a decision to not.
But
And
there
then,
is an addiction, It is. It lights up certain parts of the brain just like cocaine. It is true.
okay.
But it doesn't mean we can't
change
work
it,
with it
and work with that.
and
No, definitely, because even
reduce it and cut it out.
because just here thinking about it, if it's possible to reset, you know, and recondition your taste buds in terms of things that you like and you don't like, it's just a choice, you know,
is.
based on the conversation. It literally is as easy as a choice.
And the same thing with the amount that you eat. You can adjust the amount you eat.
Oh, yeah.
It may take some time, and you may feel this dying urge to go for extra, you know, after you
Right.
would have eaten the amount you said you would. And you may go back. But after a while, your stomach adjusts to the amount that you eat, so that if you try to eat,
You feel uncomfortable.
you feel uncomfortable if you eat
Right.
more than what you normally do.
Right.
So your taste bud could be adjusted, everything could be adjusted. Our body is a marvelous piece of equipment
true.
that does what we tell it to do. But we just have let that mind dictate to us. You can't do it or that. You must have that extra piece of meat. Or, you know, it tells you, your mind tells you, oh, it's okay, have it.
Yeah. Another interesting thing I found too in terms of like the portion and sizes, like if you take your time and you eat and, you know, chew your food, you'd realize that you're full. And
Oh, yeah.
long before you ate everything,
Yeah.
you realize that you were full. So sometimes I think it's just a matter of, you know, being
Habit.
mindful
Habit.
But
of
you're
that and the
perfect.
habit.
You're a perfect example
I tell you.
of what it is we can do. We have to do.
Very
I feel like a good patient.
Well, you know, thank God.
It's
Well, I
habit,
should
you
say
know.
that she's
Sometimes
not.
I
But
ask
COVID would have
patients-
made a lot of persons adjust their
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Because all the fast food places were
eating.
closed.
Yeah, that was one, and they had to they had no choice.
That's it.
You know, so they adjusted, and if that adjustment could be carried
Yes.
over when things get back, you would find that we'll have a healthier population.
Healthier
Yeah.
nation, for sure.
One of the things that I find my friends are doing, I have a friend, she got some lettuce seedlings for me, and she's growing her vegetables.
Yeah.
Why? Because the children were home, and she encouraged them, and they started, and now they have their little garden growing, and a lot of people have been doing that.
It's good. I hope they keep it up.
I would love for that to be
And I would think that it's
continued.
great too, because if you grow your lettuce, I could think of the kids being so excited to taste what they grew.
That's part of it.
You know,
They're
so that's like a
invested in it.
fantastic way of getting them to, you know, acclimatize and eat the right things and reset. But I know, you know, a lot of the times right now we're hearing certain buzzwords in terms of whole foods, in terms of being vegan, cutting out less meat, and all of that. And there's a lot of it, especially, you know, online. Sometimes in advertising, you're seeing it. And I feel like there's a shift or a lean towards it. But let's have like a little discussion just for people who are curious about, you know, that type of lifestyle, cutting out meat, what are the benefits, you know, or even if you reduce the amount of it, the significance of it to life. So I'll take from both of you. You could start and then I'll come back to Mrs.
Well, I
Smith.
think that really eating a whole food plant-based diet is really very impactful to your health, because a lot of times how the body responds to the animal proteins can really affect you, whether it's in allergies, whether it increases your risk of cancers, even autoimmune diseases. A lot of these things can actually be controlled and even cured by drastically cutting out the animal proteins in your diet. And, you know, it's something that it's a choice. It can be challenging, but it's just because it's new. It doesn't mean it's impossible. And there's so many other options for protein. A lot of people ask, oh, well, how will I get my protein? Where do they think the animals got their protein? Animals don't eat animals. You don't see cow eating meat. You don't see, you know, goats and sheep eating meat. What do they eat? They eat the grass. They eat the greens, and that's where they get their protein from. That's where they get their protein. So it's simply a matter of cutting out the animal portion in terms of, you know, getting your protein. And the thing is, in the traditional Western diet, I don't know if you can comment on this, but they've been saying that people are getting too much protein, that we don't need as much protein as people think. The human body does not need as much protein as people think.
I feel like it's an accompaniment with people who work out a lot in the gym. You hear a lot of the packaging of working out and getting protein, or having the protein additives, having a lot of protein, cutting out carbs, and having like a large portion of protein.
There are a lot of athletes who are fit and doing very fine on a whole food plant-based diet without all the other stuff.
Yeah, so I think that that's a good misconception that we would have, you know, spoken to and cleared up a little bit
our
here.
famous race car driver there,
Lewis Hamilton.
He's vegan. He does not eat
vegan.
animal products.
He is vegan.
Yeah. And you don't see him looking like he's sick and he can't win his races. He's doing mighty fine.
Of course.
And he's cut his risk of cancers and all that by a large percentage. And people who eat more plant-based tend to be leaner. They have more muscle mass, less of the fat that, you know, that fills the gut that I was talking about. And that's a good way to lose weight
another
as well.
thing that I've heard too, in terms of people who are vegan, because I look at a lot of, you know, documentaries and stuff like that, and another thing is that there's bursts of energy, there's more energy, and sometimes I feel like sometimes we associate, okay, if I eat meat, you know, or if I eat, you know, a lot of the meat products and stuff like that, I'll have energy, you know, but contrary to that, I've been hearing, especially sports people, saying that they have so much energy, you know, with the whole foods.
So, you know, sometimes I recommend to patients, especially those who are pre-diabetic or have chronic diseases, that cut the animal products. Just try it for a month or two.
And see how
you can
it
repeat your numbers. If that HbA1c comes to normal, then you know you're on the right track. I've had several patients have good success just by cutting all the animal products. But some of them look at me like I have three heads and just want their pill and be able to eat their chicken. And, you know, it's your choice. It's not. But I think it's good to just educate and
to have people make the
decisions.
decisions. Yeah, definitely.
But one thing about eating, I don't know if you've had the experience, but I noticed that people just eat by the clock. They eat at 7 every morning because that's when they have to eat breakfast to go to work. And, you know, the fact is sometimes if you're not hungry, you don't necessarily need to eat at that time. You have enough. We all walk around with storage for a reason. And I find sometimes people may physically not even be hungry, but they eat because it's habit and they feel this is the time to eat, so they're going to eat.
So it's
You know?
important to be mindful as to how you're feeling.
Yes,
You
check
know?
first before
Check
you
first.
just eat because.
Out of habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's 7 o'clock, so I need to eat now, and I need to eat all of this because and sometimes you don't feel hungry. And I hear people say that all the time. I'm not very hungry, but let me just have this, and then you find yourself eating, and you're not hungry.
Yeah, so
you know.
it's like, I don't know.
Yeah. What's your take on meatless diets, whole food, plant-based? What's your
It's an excellent way to go. Yeah, it is. There are lots of benefit to it in terms of, well, some people like to think that their complexion much better, that their weight
Skin clears
would go down. You know, that's part of it. You just feel good overall. Your digestive system flows freely. You know, if you're accustomed to eating meat, you don't have to stop eating meat.
Cold turkey.
Or just
Right.
stop.
Right.
Some persons may do it cold turkey, and others may just gradual. So you can be a vegan where you have no animal or animal products at all,
Right.
or you can have no red meat and just have chicken and fish, or you can choose not to have fish or not to have chicken and just have fish, or a combination. You know, so you can tailor it to what you feel comfortable with, and gradually, you know, so like you can stop red meat and you stop chicken, then you do the fish and then you stop the fish. But you want to eat foods that what you call whole foods that have not been processed as far as possible. Organic is difficult to say that you want to eat organic here in Grenada, but so that if you're going to buy vegetables, and you know, you need to wash them thoroughly.
Right.
But eating whole foods and foods that we have less insecticides or pesticides in is a healthier choice. So being a vegan, a vegetarian, whichever route you choose in terms of the gamut of vegetarian, is beneficial to your health and well-being overall.
Yeah.
You know, more, and what you find is that you tend to eat more nuts, peas and beans, and they're loaded. Those are what you call natural whole foods.
Right.
They haven't been processed. It's just dried. So it has all of the nutrients in it. And by preparing them to retain the nutrients, you find that you get more out of it. So you can live a healthy, long, or maybe even longer life, being a vegetarian, based on whichever choice. But the vegan is usually recommended as a healthy lifestyle choice.
To go, because
And your bowels move
interestingly,
much better too.
Yeah.
and interestingly enough, like I remember reading on the effects of dairy products, you know, to your body, and the effects that it will have on your cholesterol profile. Let's take that for, you know, example. A lot of the times, you know, we consume things that we don't necessarily need to, like in terms of like milk, especially as a full, you know, adult. You know, a lot of the times I see that adults don't necessarily, you don't need milk anymore.
We're the only species that,
you know,
that
and
continues
cheese
to drink milk after weaning. There's no other animal you see. Do you see big cows drink milk? You don't see any other animals doing that.
So a
And
lot
there
of
are
the things
hormones in those
sometimes.
things, hormones that can affect us. And we've had a lot of women with menstrual irregularities, hormone imbalance. They end up with acne, hair all over the place where it shouldn't have hair, the breast, the face.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, a lot of that is due to, you know, hormonal imbalance in their body. And obesity has a part to play in that.
And it all comes back to the things that we consume, what we put into our body, our nutrition, and just making mindful choices as to what, you know, to consume. Because again, I would want to believe that you would want to eat things that would help you to function as a person, to help you to have, you know, like a good
You
quality
want to eat
of life.
to live, not live to
eat. That's a really good
And
thing.
eating vegetables, when I say vegetables, I'm talking about pak choy and pumpkin and
Kale.
peppers and kale and callaloo and you know all of and beans and all of those. Those are so beneficial to us in the sense that excellent source of fiber.
Yes.
And vitamins and minerals and all of these healthy foods that we eat. Something we haven't touched on is the immune system. So if you're a healthy person, right, in this year COVID time,
Yes.
if you can change the way you eating more fruits, more I want to say more vegetables first, and then fruits. So eating more vegetables and fruits at this time, is so important in terms of boosting your immune system. Losing weight by eating those foods helps you to be healthier, reduce your risk of developing other health issues. And some of these health issues make you more susceptible to COVID and the effects of COVID. So by eating healthy, exercising, drinking less alcohol if you normally drink a lot, and just staying away from it if you
Drinking more water.
Right? Drinking more water.
Getting your sleep.
Getting sufficient sleep. All of these boost your immune system.
And then you stay ready, so you don't have to panic and buy all of the vitamin C when there's a cold or when there's
Eat your mango and think for vitamin C.
Use your seasoning peppers and the carambola, and eating these things on a daily basis.
It's more fun than swallowing a pill anyway, and there's really no
it's way better
data that the body assimilates these artificially separated vitamins.
But the other thing too, when you eat a whole food with all of the nutrients in it, it's not just one you get in. When you take a vitamin C pill, it's just vitamin C. But when you have a carambola or you have a guava, you get in so many other phytochemicals and other nutrients that are beneficial to your body,
including the fiber.
So it's eating healthy as part of a healthy lifestyle. Exercising as part of a healthy lifestyle, not smoking as part of a healthy lifestyle, not drinking excessively as part of a healthy lifestyle, getting
so much noise in the community now.
Getting sufficient sleep, right? All of these contribute
Spending time
to
outside,
your
outdoors.
immune system.
Even spending time outdoors, studies have shown that when you spend significant amount of time outdoors, it actually increases your percentage of natural killer cells that helps the immune system.
But also to vitamin D. Being outdoors in the sun, vitamin D plays an important role with the immune system. Now, persons with more melanin tend to have to stay out in the sun a little longer, to get sufficient vitamin C, and not necessarily cloaked up. You need to have skin exposed to get the vitamin D.
And there have been questions about whether the sunblock is really necessary. The sunblock has a lot of chemicals in it, and the thing is that you can block the vitamin D when you put on the sunblock. So as long as you're not out there putting on oil and frying in the sun, getting sunburn, that the risk of people with melanin to get skin cancer is not that great, as long as they don't lather up with oil
and stay out and bake and fry in the sun. I think that's very interesting. Let's get some feedback from the public. Again, you can feel free to contact us. WhatsApp 414-2248. So that you would be able to weigh in on this discussion and conversations, because we're trying to ensure that you are physically well. So we're having some feedback. Someone said, thank you very much, Ariza. Very interesting program as usual. Someone said, it is so good to learn that Dr. Lowe allows her patients to ask questions. Some doctors seem to be displeased when patients ask too many questions.
No, I prefer it.
Yeah, so definitely people really appreciate that.
That's good.
A question, somebody says, can I get enough nutrients being a vegan while pregnant?
Yes.
That's the question someone asks. Yeah.
Yes. Being pregnant, you need to eat additional food, but not an excessive amount. But it's food that are what you call nutrient dense. But if she has a concern, she can consult a nutritionist or a dietitian to get more, like a plan that would ensure that she gets a certain amount of protein and a certain amount of iron in her diet. Because meat is a source of iron, and an excellent source of iron, and during pregnancy you want to get more iron, so you'd have to get the foods that are other source of iron, so your peas and your beans, right, that can, but to get someone to sit with her and do the combination of foods that she should have to be able to get the vitamins and minerals and protein and
She'll probably be healthier if she does it that way.
Yes, and if she breastfeed, that would be the best
Well,
thing
that's
she
my
would
thing.
ever do for that baby.
Yes.
Really?
And breastfeed 6 months exclusively.
Okay.
6 months.
6 months
exclusively.
exclusively.
No water. No. No what?
You drink
Sugar
the water,
water.
the mother
No,
drink
no water for the
Listen,
baby.
Stephanie,
No water for the
but
baby.
they start the formula in the hospital. You think it easy?
Well-
Don't even get me started on that.
Don't get
Because
started
it
yet.
takes a day or
Just-
two for the breast milk to come in, but the babies, healthy babies, are born with enough glycogen in the liver to manage for the
keep
2
that.
days,
But-
and
and
they
this
will
is one of-
suck and stimulate the breast milk to come down.
So one of the
But
things
they
that
just
you
want
want
to give the formula, and then the child is not hungry. They don't suck, and then of course the milk will take longer to come.
So one of the things you want
get me started
for persons who are watching is to learn more about
Yes.
breastfeeding and
Right.
exclusive breastfeeding, and then what to expect when they go to the hospital,
Yes.
and what to do when they get to the hospital to say that they exclusively breastfeeding, so they do not want
That's it.
the baby to get any formula. But I'm saying to the person who asked the question is that breastfeeding is the best thing that she would do for the baby.
Yes.
And no exclusive, and that's the
Yeah.
word exclusive. So
That's
she
the
doesn't
only
the
thing
only
that
thing.
the baby
She doesn't have to
will
give the baby
consume
water.
for 6
She doesn't
months.
have to give the baby porridge. She doesn't have to give the baby
Nothing.
fruit or
Right.
veg. Well, you can introduce that after. You have to
After
introduce
6
that after a while,
months.
but no formula or anything. Just exclusive breastfeeding.
So that means that the responsibility now is on the mother to ensure that you consume the right things, because whatever you consume is
Pass it on.
in the breast milk,
That's
and that's
right.
passed on to the baby. So you want a healthy baby, you have to definitely, look
Eat
at what
healthy.
you consume.
And it doesn't matter whether you're a vegan or not. You can have a healthy baby and breastfeed that baby. You do not have to eat meat because you're pregnant.
Right.
Whatever nutrients that you can get, you would have gotten from the meat, you can get it from other foods.
Definitely.
And if she's concerned, she can see a nutritionist or dietitian, either to a hospital or the Grenada Food and Nutrition Council.
Splendid, splendid. Well, that definitely answers your question. Another question, this one is from Facebook. Someone says, I know 2 persons with type 2 diabetes who are told by their physician and nutritionist that they can have carbohydrates in moderation. If their glucose is not under control, the insulin dosage is increased. Wouldn't it be better to avoid foods which convert to glucose and recommend more foods like non-starchy green vegetables and other carb foods as opposed to the ones before? And could the nutritionist also explain about macro and micronutrients?
Okay, so
So
let's
they're
start
asking-
with the easiest part.
Yeah.
Macronutrients would be your carbohydrates, fat, and protein. And your micronutrients would be your vitamins and minerals.
Okay.
So when you talk about vitamins, you have the B complex, you have vitamin A, C, D, E, and then you have your minerals, and then you have some trace minerals, and so those would be your micronutrients.
Right.
So that's the easy part. The
That's
other
the
part
easy
of
part.
the question
With
is
regards to
in terms-
type 2 diabetes.
type 2 diabetes.
Let me hear, what is the part again?
So the question is, they were told by their physician
have some
and nutrition,
carbohydrates.
that they can have carbohydrates in moderation.
But what kind? Yes, you can have the complex ones. In moderation, it's very subjective.
yeah.
But
So I think in terms, because they said insulin foods.
So the person's already on
that
insulin?
convert to. Well, the person said in terms of increasing the insulin dosage, but would it be better
that
to
means the
avoid
person's already on
foods?
insulin.
Yeah.
But the thing with that question is that the person, carbohydrates converts to
fruits and
sugar.
vegetables.
But there's some fruits convert to sugar too. Vegetables, or you have what you call the starchy, some of the vegetables convert to blood sugar.
Right.
So that it's not just the carbohydrate, but having a balanced meal in terms of your proportion of carbohydrate, which would be a staple, and we recommend like complex carbohydrate rather than the simple.
That's
And the
it, the
simple
complex
carbohydrate would
ones
be your
are
white
much more
bread and
recommended.
your sugary
Okay.
stuff and things like that. You would want to have a specific portion, and then by eating a specific amount, you would know how that affects the blood sugar. Now, if someone eats more than that, chances are the sugar would be higher.
Right.
So the insulin would be, if the person is on that where they can regulate their insulin, then they would increase it if the sugar is higher.
That's a sad
but
story
it is
too,
in
because
terms
then
of
they put
eating
weight. They put on weight too.
Right.
So
in
we
terms
try not to increase insulin too much, but increase exercise.
increase in exercise, physical
movement,
activity
exercise
can
and
help.
all that. Definitely can help the body to use the sugar as well.
Even if you're diabetic, you're supposed to eat a variety of foods and balanced foods. You just have to know the amount that you would want to eat.
And the type of carbohydrate. So that's
Exactly.
what I'm saying. If I had to recommend this to this patient, I would, of course, recommend more the complex carbohydrates and vegetables. You know, when you think about the ADA, you know about the ADA and things like that. There's the American Diabetic Association, like beans and okra and things. I think they don't even count towards
Right.
because there's 0 points. So
In terms
I would
of-
recommend to that patient to eat lots of the same
More of
things.
the
Pak choy,
green leafy vegetables, they
Yes.
tend not to affect the blood sugar as
beans,
compared to
the
say like
okra. You can eat
carrots
that
and
till your
pumpkin
belly
and
busting, you know. So these, if patients want to feel full to the brim, then those would be the better type of carbohydrates
To consume.
Yeah.
Right. So they're definitely good carbs, you know, and because I feel
I
like
mean, I don't know if you want to label them good
They
or
wouldn't
bad.
be
Some
good.
like-
Because I hear people saying that a lot, you know, in terms of like carbohydrates. A lot of times when people focus on diet, they think dieting would have to mean, you know, cutting certain foods that they consume. And carbs have always been like a watchword in terms of like carbs have been vilified for the
Yeah.
people that want to be really slender.
And
So-
there's about the keto diet where you have more protein and less carbohydrate. And that's
are
something
not-
that's proposed to lose weight. Or is it Atkins
Not
diet?
healthy
And
for your
it's not a
kidneys,
healthy thing.
and it
But
causes a lot of cardiovascular problems.
the body needs carbohydrate, but
Yes,
it's how much and the type that you put in. And
Right.
carbohydrate, we say carbohydrate,
I don't
and we
think you
think
should say
we
good or
lump
bad.
everything into it. But but you have the simple ones, which is like your sugary stuff and your white bread and
Right.
you know
Those
white
definitely
pasta
could vilify those.
and that sort of
Okay.
thing. But then you have the dasheen and the yam and corn flour and your grains, your whole grains and stuff like
Right.
that. You know, so
Right.
those are the ones that you want to consume. But again, when you look at your plate, half the plate will be your vegetables,
Would be your vegetables.
right? And then the
Yeah.
other half, you have the different portions of
But you know,
your
when
peas
people
and your
have their
beans.
plates, a lot of time they have the lettuce as a dressing on the side. You know, it's not
Yeah,
really
just a little sprinkle
yes.
of lettuce to the side.
Even like if you go to restaurants or so, or
Yeah.
take out food, they have a little thing just to say they put thing, but everything is more of the heavy.
It's a garnish.
Yes, it's a garnish.
That's
Perfect.
a garnish.
It's a garnish.
But that's not how it should be. Really and truly, you need more of that as your main meal, and the other things should be more of the garnish. Really, if you ask me.
Something as we are talking about that sometimes we don't realize is that we go through different stages of life, right? And we eat accordingly. So when you're a baby, you're breastfed and you take as much as you want and then you spit the nipple out and that's it. You're good. And then you get to your parents start feeding you and you eat a certain amount and then you get to a point where you said you need to clean your plate. And then you get to another point as an adult where you eat as much as you want. And we tend, as an adult, we tend to take that into our older age. And that is something I think we need to be aware of, that once you reach a certain age, you need to look at the amount you eat because you're not as active
And
as
what
you
age
were.
would that be?
To
start
sometimes it's a
eating?
retirement, or sometimes your lifestyle would have changed. You know, something would have happened. You need to make an adjustment. So, for instance, you retire, and you're
less active.
You're less active.
But you don't
so,
have to be less active because you retire.
okay,
You don't have
no,
to
we
be-
understand that. But in terms of,
careful now.
in terms of, no, but the thing is, some persons retire and they just
Stop.
It's true.
And
they
relax.
lay back.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
time for me to chill.
They should cut
So
their calories.
They
I
need to
agree.
cut their calories.
But not if you live in
right?
life.
Now,
I
if you're
mean,
an active person, right, and you know whatever you eat, you consume, you burn
burn it
up,
up, yeah.
because you're not gaining weight, then that's
Right.
fine. But
Yeah.
if you're active and you're gaining, then you know you need to look at it,
true.
right? So persons need to just be aware of how much you eat,
Right.
and remember that your stomach can adjust.
Yeah.
It can be adjusted, but the amount you eat, so that you eat in this big plate or this big bowl of food,
Lordy, you think it easy? And then you want to know why you're fat, why you have pressure, why you have sugar, why you have cancer. I mean,
So, you know, so us
I like
being
that you
here,
raised the point about cleaning your plate, because I have patients, parents come to me with their kids. They say, Doc, the child is not eating. The child is not eating. This is what they tell me. And I would think the child and look on the curve, and the child is 50%, 75%, 95% on the curve in terms of the average for their age. So I ask them, I learn now, ask upfront, do they eat bananas? Do they eat mango? Yes, Doc. Do they eat pawpaw? A lot of kids don't like pawpaw, but they'll eat the mango, they'll eat the watermelon, they'll eat all the things on the tray. You know what the reason why they say they're not eating? They're not eating the cooked food. I say, listen, your child eating better than you. These are food, these are healthy foods, these are the best foods they could eat.
Yes.
But because they don't want to eat the rice and the meat and the thing, they're worried. And the child's weight is good, and the child doesn't get sick, and they never see the child.
but as you said that, dear, and we talked about the adults,
Oh, my
when it comes to children,
Yes.
right?
They have so much more to do with their bodies.
They eat, but sometimes what the parents give them, it's
Parents,
so
come
the parents, I
closer.
just want the parents to understand that if you have a child drinking juice every minute,
They go get
they
diarrhea, but
cannot
they still come to see
eat the food.
me. Yeah.
Right.
So that the stomach is filled. So there's no room for food. Now they're getting sugar and liquid, so they're filled. They're gaining weight, but they're not eating the food. So that means they're gaining the weight from the amount of sugary stuff, all the little packets of snacks, right? That people consider a snack.
Right.
It's not a snack for a child. A child needs a snack that's nutritious. And you want
It
to
doesn't
look at
need to be
how
opened.
much, you want to look at your timing of food. So if you want a child to eat a healthy meal, don't give juice or water before,
Right.
or don't give one of those packaged snacks or anything like that. And I would say don't give those packaged snacks at all, because if you read the label, everything that a child needs to eat between, once they start eating regular food, needs to be nutritious. It must have something in it that will benefit their growth and development. And those packaged snacks that are made out there is nothing, absolutely nothing in it. Well, maybe if you have a plantain chip or something like that, it may have a bit more. But the others that you can't tell what's the main ingredient, the children shouldn't have that, because they don't have any beneficial nutrients for them.
But
So you
one thing I
actually
can say,
feeding your children with junk.
Yeah,
And,
but a lot
you
of the
put
schools
stuff in junk in a body, you're going to get out junk. But you want a child to grow and develop good mental development, physical development. You need to feed the children nutritious snacks.
Food is medicine.
And snack is a mango, right? It's banana. It's some nuts. These are some avocado and tomato. And the thing about children, if you start them off giving them fruits and vegetables, that's what they know. That's what they would want.
Right.
But if you start them off with these little packaged things, that's
Then
what
they
they
would
know.
turn to that.
It doesn't add anything by putting them in their lunchbox. For instance, I know some daycares. They ban it.
They ban it. It's
They
so
ban
good.
it
I was
from the
just gonna
school.
say that.
And I know that we're hoping. Well, I'm as an ex-nutritionist.
You're still in
That they want to ban the sweet stuff in schools.
Yeah.
But there's a little flack to get it banned, like not having the sodas and those sweet things in the school. And there's some resistance to that. But we know that is not contributing to the well-being of our children.
That's it.
They need to eat
Increasing the
nutritionally.
obesity,
So the
increasing
same
risk of
way,
cancer and chronic diseases, which is a drain on our system, on our society.
the same way we're talking to the adults to be mindful of the amount you eat, we want you to look at the children and what you give them.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Because obesity is on the rise in preschool. We did a study was done not too long ago.
Yeah, but what I'm saying too is just by listening, and even checking on this question that was, sent, sometimes children will choose the right things to eat.
Yes.
If they get the
just
choice,
naturally,
if the parent
they
provides
get
it.
the choice. Yeah.
But
So
there are days when kids are not hungry. There are days when kids just don't feel hungry. Don't force them.
And that's fine.
But the days when they're hungry, feed them the healthy foods. And they listen to their body more than us. They have growth spurts. They'll grow and they're hungry. Then they level off because they're not growing as much. They don't eat as much.
Right.
Then they get a growth spurt. They're eating
everything.
everything inside. You know, so this is
Work
what
with them.
happens.
Be flexible
and
because
don't
they're
force them, oh
flexible.
God, you're
No,
not
not
eating-
the clean plate thing.
It's
The,
not
Yeah.
the children are not supposed to clean their plate.
And
No.
guess what? Probably the portion sizes are too big in the first place. It should be the size of a fist or less for kids. So
Okay.
when you give them big portion sizes, it's too much.
Can we talk about something?
Sure.
The reason that we talk about children here, screen time.
Oh gosh. Well, girl,
No, it's all part of healthy
right. Yeah.
lifestyle.
Don't even-
right, and we're not
yes.
talking. It's not directed
one of my
only for
hot buttons.
adults, but for children.
oh
screen
yes.
time.
Too much.
And the
It
funny
affects
thing
the
about
language
screen time,
development
it
and everything.
affects the development of a child. For them to have a healthy lifestyle, mental, physical.
Right.
Yeah. And screen time is something that I don't hear talk about, but it's something that is so important.
Oh, yes.
The amount of time that you allow that child, whether it's 6 month old, 6
They
year
shouldn't
old.
be looking at it till over the age of 2. Don't get me started, huh?
Wow,
But
that's
the
a
thing-
whole
the thing is-
different
it's a whole program.
conversation.
But the thing
in
is, I
and of
want
itself.
persons to be aware
Yeah.
that when you do not have socialized with your child and you have your child is being babysit by a tablet or phone or computer,
It's gonna affect
something,
their language
Yeah.
development,
it takes
socialization.
away from their development,
Yes.
mental and physical development.
yes.
So they sit like this.
Yeah.
They should be out moving around.
Yeah.
Children
Right.
should not be looking at television. No matter how educational they claimed it to be.
It's so passive.
The
it's
development
not
is
interactive. They
not-
need the human
Human
touch. They
interaction.
need
But
that.
one of the things that I learned is that when you look at cartoon,
It's very
children, when you
violent, huh?
speak to a child and you go close to them, they don't look you in the eye, they look at your mouth.
Right.
So they actually learning to speak from you
yeah,
looking
listening.
at your mouth. But when you look at the cartoon, their mouths don't move like ours. You notice that? They cannot learn to speak as well by looking at cartoons.
So it's very
It's
important,
important
that, because
that
the
screen time to
interactivity-
be limited. Just Google it and see their recommendation as
I
to
posted stuff on
different
my
age
page,
group.
my Facebook page, and 9 ways to help increase your child's language development. And the first one is talk to your child, narrate your day. Music is another way, and it does YouTube. You don't have to use the visual part of the YouTube. They can hear and
it.
sing with you.
Yeah.
You don't have to have them in front of the screen.
This is
Music
fantastic,
helpful.
you know.
All of that.
Yeah,
the,
and
the
we're,
nursery rhymes, reading for your child is crucial. It
and we're
brings you
delving
closer
into
to your child.
to so many things.
That's
No,
what
but
I'm
no, that's very important. So I do see the need, to even have like another, session to continue this conversation, because so many questions are coming in. Someone wants to know what they should consume if their cholesterol is high.
Avoid
Questions
all
just
animal
really
products.
quick.
That's easy.
Right.
Anything that comes from an animal,
And
butter,
exercise.
cheese, eggs, and there are options.
okay,
There are options. You can buy your vegan butter, vegan cheese, almond milk. There are options for those kind of patients.
Right.
But the other
Right.
part of that too, the animal products, they're what you call hidden fats and hidden sugars in foods that we don't think that's in. So the type of fat that's in bread, right? It's a trans fat. Most of it's trans fat, and that
Right.
fat tends to affect your cholesterol way more. So it's also being aware. Yes, you have the animal and the animal products, but then you have the cookies that you may eat.
Right.
You might eat a packet of cookies or sweet biscuits, right? And you're not thinking that has anything because you're just looking at the meat and the egg and the dairy products and stuff like
But
that.
that also-
but also other
yeah.
little things that you eat that you
As
need to
well.
look at, the
Whole
little
foods,
packet
that person
snacks.
should eat
Whole foods.
mostly whole foods.
Yeah.
Nuts, avocado is a healthy fat. Nuts are, you need fat, but you
You
need
need fat.
the
The
healthy,
healthy
fat.
one, the healthy one that's good for your body and easier to
Because the statin
digest.
drugs can be dangerous. They have their side effects.
Right.
So not
instead
that I'm
of going for
recommending
the
a person
drug-
stop their drug. If they're on drugs, do not stop your drugs. To consult with your healthcare professional, but you can assist by changing your diet.
Fabulous, fantastic. And just in thinking of it and just, contemplating on everything that's said, because I feel like a patient as well in the middle of you two, and just processing it. A lot of it is coming back to me in terms of, just being aware of your body, being, aware of where you are in terms of your numbers, being aware of where you are in terms of your appetite, and not overdoing it, because your body will give you, signals when you need, when you're hungry, when when you're full, you know. So some of the culture in terms of like cleaning your plate, we want to move away from that. And,
well, in the
and all of
Western
these
culture,
things.
we're raised to eat till we're full to the brim, but in other cultures, you're raised to eat when you're just comfortable, half full.
Yeah.
But I don't know, we just have this thing, I don't know if it's just what we inherited in our culture, colonialism.
Colonialism.
The whole thing of not knowing when you're going to have another meal as a slave. I don't know what it is, but we eat till we're full to overflowing. And
Right,
it's not good
and
for
it's
us.
not necessary. So just before we wrap, I just really want us to touch a little bit on in terms of the food-based dietary guidelines. You know, like if we could just get, because there are 8 of them, if we can just, and then probably, you know, persons will get the opportunity to do some research on them, see where, you know, to ensure by the Food Nutrition Council. Yes.
Food-based dietary guidelines. They were developed for Grenada, in Grenada, by Grenadians, for Grenadians. And it talks about everything that it focuses on everything that we spoke about here in terms of your diet. The first 5 talks about healthy choices in terms of your eating. So it recommends that you eat a variety of foods every day and make sure that it's safe and that it's local, right? So you want to eat more local foods. You want to eat more foods that less pesticides, that less that you before you prepare it, you wash it and you store it properly, right? Talk about eating more vegetables and fruits. I think I better refer to my little note so I can give you specifically. So the first one said, let's eat healthy, enjoy a variety of natural, safe foods every day. So every day you want to eat healthy and eat a variety of foods. And you want to eat foods from each food group. The second one is eat fresh vegetables and fruits every day. Grow what you eat and eat what you grow.
Excellent.
When you do that, and it means individual here, in your home, in your garden, but it means country, right? So you have less of that footprint of imported stuff. Flavor your foods with local fresh seasoning and spices is the healthier choice. So you don't want
salt.
to
It
use
doesn't say flavor your food with salt.
Right. You said local herbs and spices, so that when you season your food, you use the thyme, you use your thyme, your peppers, you use your pimento, clove, and things like that.
Yes.
Drink more water every day. It helps your body function better.
And poop.
And we were speaking about constipation and the importance of drinking water.
Yes.
Avoid highly processed foods, snacks, drinks. They are high in fat, salt, and sugar. And we know some of those come in a bucket, some have come in a bottle, the beverages and stuff like that you want to avoid. Now, the first set says is choose healthy foods, and the second set of the guidelines says choose healthy lifestyle. And these were very interesting when we got persons to look at it. It says be active, get moving every day. It makes you look and feel good.
Oh, definitely.
And one of the benefits of things, it's your mood. When you exercise, it helps with your mood.
Oh, definitely.
It makes you feel good.
Yes.
You may not lose weight, but you feel good about yourself. You sleep better. So you need to get at least maybe 30 minutes of physical activity, exercise on a daily basis. Create healthier ways to prepare our local traditional dishes.
Oh,
Yes, we touched on that as well.
You know, that is something that you make
so
rice
true.
and peas.
Yeah.
What do you put in it? You put a bit of coconut milk in it, but you don't have to put all that salted, fatty meat in it that
Please
adds
don't.
salted and add extra fat to it. And one of the ones that I thought was very interesting was make time to prepare, share, and enjoy healthy family meals.
Yes.
Because you find today that people are so busy. They don't have time to sit down, and
They
you have
don't
one
make
person
time,
eating
Stephanie.
in the corner.
They
And
don't
this is
make time, not have time.
this is why it says make the
time,
time,
right.
Because we realize people are
You
not
have to
making the
prioritize
time to
things.
do it.
If they
Parents
have time to
are
watch TV
eating.
for an hour or two, they make the time to do why they can't prioritize the things that are
Turn off the
important.
TV, turn off the
Yes.
cell phone, sit as a family to eat.
It's really
When you all get
important.
together, prepare healthy meals. And,
Communication.
you're making an oil down.
Yes.
You don't put the turkey wing and the chicken wing in it. And you can use the back and neck, but take
You
off
don't
the
have to use
extra
the back
fat.
and neck either.
You don't have to. Actually, true. You know what I mean? You don't even have to
Yeah.
put the meat in it. You can use fish. You can use saltfish, whatever.
You
and
don't have to use none
you
of
can
that too.
put
It's your choice.
It's your choice. Exactly,
choice.
it's your
Yeah.
choice. So you want to make the oil dung healthier, but I'm talking about our traditional oil dung. So one way if you're making the traditional oil dung, you cut the excess meat out of the thing, and you take out the fatty meats and stuff, and you put more
I will have to bring you
vegetables
some
in
of
there.
Ferry's oil down. It's very traditional and delicious.
And delicious.
But it is interesting that
Yeah.
the guidelines were developed for Grenadians, and it focused on healthy choice, healthy lifestyle choices, and healthy food choices.
Yeah.
And it's what we talked about, and
Yeah,
all of what
it's
we spoke
excellent.
about in terms of your numbers, the guidelines focus on that.
So
Very
definitely, just a wealth of information here. It's, amazing, so eye-opening, and some of them are very easy. It's just a matter of having it in your mind, having it, conscious. So quickly, just give me some closing remarks that you would like to leave our viewers with just before we wrap. Thank you so much.
I just want to
Dr.
thank you for
Lowe.
having me, and to just let everyone know in Grenada that your body is your temple and you have to take care of it. Can't trade it in, and you just need to make the time to try to make healthy practices and take care of your whole body. I think that's really important, and don't expect your doctor to take care of your body for you. We will help you do it, but really it's your responsibility to be disciplined and make those choices every day.
Thank you very much. And your
I would
closing
like to
remarks.
commend Ariza for this, not only our appearance here today,
Yeah,
but the other
the ones
series
before.
before. Very, very informative. And I hope that this one today was informative, and the persons out there who are looking, that they take away from this session the fact that it's our body, and we have to care for it, and caring for it is not difficult. It's just making a choice. It's a choice, and every day and everything that we do, it's a choice. To walk out of here is a choice. To get up in the morning may not just be a choice, but anything that you do, once you get out of that bed in the morning for the start, you decide to get out of bed, that's a choice. So tomorrow, or later, or now, tonight, make a choice.
Yes.
I'm not telling you which choice to make. Make a choice that would put you your body in a better place, and you in a better place physically and mentally. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much to Ariza Credit Union for seeing the need to have, this conversation, the ones that we had on your mental wellness and still your financial wellness to come. It's holistic wellness that we are looking at, and there was a wealth of information here today, particularly useful to me, and I know especially useful to you, just based on the feedback that we've been getting and the comments and the questions that you have been asking. Someone said that they want another installment of this, and I think that it's very necessary. But again, the watchwords, the key takeaway for me is just being mindful, making the right choices, ensuring that you have, a good relationship with your health coach, which is your physician, your doctor, your nutritionist, and ensuring that you're healthy and that, you're conscious of your life, you know your numbers, and you're not just walking around hoping that you are healthy. It's very important to be conscious of that. So for more information on Dr. Lowe, you can check out her website is bsli.org. So that's the Brooks-Smith-Lowe Institute, bsli.org, and you can find information on that. And I know that people were interested in finding out about Sean Farm and all of that. So it's on Facebook, I want to believe? No? How can we find out about Sean Farm?
You can call me at 415-2717 and I'll give more information.
More information, definitely. And again, local food, lettuce, vegetables, that should be half of our plate. So again, thank you so much. Thank you so much to you both for being here, giving of your time, your knowledge, and just your ability to just share and really impact this necessary wisdom on people. We really appreciate it. To the technical team, TNR Communications, always a pleasure. To GBN for facilitating having this live broadcast, over on the Grenada Broadcasting Network. We really appreciate, Sloki and the entire team there making sure that this is broadcast. And again, for more information on this episode, the previous episodes, and the ones to come, stay connected to Ariza Credit Union on Facebook. That's Ariza Credit Union. On Instagram at ArizaCU, and website arizacu.com. My name is Akiera. It was a pleasure being your host, facilitating this, necessary conversation. See you again soon as we continue discussing your holistic wellness. Thank you and good night.
Our superheroes are all among us. They don't wear capes nor have superpowers. In fact, they appear to be quite ordinary. They are the ones who provide us with food. They are our farmers, our grocery store workers, our vendors. They are our fishermen. They are the ones who heal us, our doctors and medical practitioners. They are the ones who protect us, our police officers. They are all the other essential workers who make this period bearable. And how can we forget our teachers, dedicated to educating our children no matter the circumstance? To everyone who is doing their part to make sure the wheel keeps turning, Ariza says, thank you. Taking the first step is one of the hardest things to do, but sometimes that's where progress begins. And that's when I can becomes the best words you can utter. I will keeps you focused on what really matters. I must pushes you to where you want to be. And I am the words when the dreams become a reality. That's the power of I. That's why it's at the center of Ariza. Because I means independent. I means individual. And at Ariza, that's what we want you to be. Independent, individual, and financially free. This is Ariza Credit Union. Your financial freedom, your future.
This live stream was powered